Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. If you haven't already done so, please sign in. You can sign in with the QR code that's on the screen, or you can just go into the chat and the sign in is there. My name is Jaspreet Sandha. I'm one of the STEAM coordinators at the Division of Instruction, and I'm joined by Jerry Song, who's the other coordinator for Division of Instruction. So just a little quick overview. The purpose of today's meeting is to give a brief overview of the LAUSD STEAM STEM certification process and to answer any questions that you have about the certification. Before I begin with the objectives, I do want to let you know that we're going to be using STEM and STEAM interchangeably. A lot of our schools are either STEM schools or STEAM schools, and we want to honor both programs. So, and the certification is for both. So the objectives for today's meeting is to learn about the STEAM STEM certification process, just to understand, what the process is, what it entails. But the more important piece is to see if certification is right for you and your school at this time, because it does entail a lot of work. So we want to make sure that you have enough information, to see if you're ready to be certified next school year. I do want to give you a minute to go over the vision for STEAM. So take a minute and please read Division of Instruction's STEAM vision. We at the Division of Instruction believe that STEAM is more than just about having electives in the classroom or at the school site, or kids just participating in robotics or an engineering course. We believe that STEAM is what gives the purpose to what our students are learning into the classroom. And it also helps our kids understand what they're learning in the classroom, how it impacts the real world, how it helps them solve real world problems, how the school setting is giving them the skills and knowledge they need to solve problems that they'll see in the future. So it's more of an approach, more of a mindset that we're promoting when it comes to STEAM at our school sites. Also, if you look at the strategic plan that LAUSD has, it recognizes the importance of STEAM to prepare our students through the approach that develops our students' creativity, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. So if our schools are STEAM schools, and if they are saying that they're STEAM certified, they're helping our kids develop these skills that are in our strategic plan. Before I go into what the process is, I do want to talk about the background, so where it's coming from. So in the fall of 2016, the board identified 154 schools that had the word STEM or STEAM in their name. And the board wanted to know, are these schools doing something different that a traditional school has been doing? Is the instruction different? Is the instruction more hands-on? Are the kids being exposed to real world problems? And I'm not talking about textbook real world problems, but truly real world problems that connect what's learning in the classroom to to the real world. Because of that, in the spring of 2017, the Division of Instruction started researching certifications out there, and one of the lead coordinators for this research was IHAM, who's here with us today. So Division of Instruction started researching programs that were either at different states, different districts, whatever was out there. And then in the fall of 2017, this is when the Division of Instruction hired two coordinators, STEAM coordinators, to create the STEAM certification plan. And we had the pilot also that year. And that year we had 13 schools that successfully completed the STEAM certification pilot. So why certify? Just to let you know that the intent of the STEAM certification is to help schools identify qualities to which they can calibrate, refine, and validate the STEAM STEM program at their school site. So basically, it's a guide, it's a tool to help schools identify, is a program at their school a quality STEAM program that LAUSD would want to certify? Just to let you know, currently there are no state or national certifications. There are organizations that do certify. For example, we have the National Institute of STEM Education, we have ICEAM that offer certification at a cost. And that's one of the benefits that LAUSD has is that it's no cost to the school. It's something that a school chooses to do. Along with that, it's an in-house created tool that we use for calibration. And we're also calibrating LAUSD schools with one another. And now I'm going to hand it over to Jerry Song to talk about the process.
All right. So thank you, Jaspreet. All right. So if you look at the strategic plan, you'll see again the term "ready for the world," right? And then on page 7, it talks about being ready for the world and what that means. And if you look at each of those little bold, ready for the world means, they're listed right here for you. So again, being prepared and inspired to thrive in college and career beyond the lives of our classroom walls. I think that's what's critical and what's really important and unique about STEAM is it's focusing not just what's happening in the classroom, but focusing on what's going to happen in our students' lives once they enter college and career. The next we kind of go together, the advocates for them, the advocates for themselves and others, next generation of change makers and problem solvers, and global citizens. Technology has, in so many ways made our world a lot more complicated, but also it's made it smaller. With this social media, with just news, so much knowledge is at our fingertips. And along with that, I think we also have we're also more aware of much more global problems that we have. And again, we want our students to be, again, the next generation of change makers, right? And then finally, skills and knowledge. They need the skills and knowledge necessary to make all of this happen. So again, STEAM aligns very well with, again, preparing and then preparing our students to be ready for the world. Along with being ready for the world, STEAM aligns very well with the district's core beliefs as well. Equity, as you can see here on page 10 of the strategic plan. We also talk about that. And again, how one of the benefits of STEAM is that we were focusing on open-ended real world tasks. And these real world tasks, because there's no one right answer, or these problems that students are working on, and there's no one right solution. And so really, they have what we call low floor and high ceiling, right? Where again, students of all abilities and backgrounds can actually approach all of these problems and they can actually contribute to it and access it in their own way. So again, and it's because there's no one right solution to it, we're really honoring our students' backgrounds and who they are, because the solutions are coming from them, right? Along with everything that they bring into that classroom, the assets that they bring into the classroom. Collaboration, and you'll see this in our framework and rubric. We work with outside partners, we work with community partners, and we want our students to not just see STEM professionals, but actually to collaborate and work with them, right? And again, partnerships are a key part of a successful STEAM program. And we want our students, again, we're kind of moving from where students just see maybe like a presentation on a career, which is fine, but we're also taking it further where students can actually work with maybe these community partners and then work on an actual real world problem together where they can get feedback on the work that the students are doing from these actual STEM team professionals. And then finally, excellence. When you're working on real world problems that again don't have a single right answer, and there's no answer key for these problems, there's a great deal of rigor involved. And along with rigor, when students are able to access it from them, then they're engaged, and not just engaged, but they're actually empowered in what they're doing because they feel like, wait a minute, I can be a change maker. I can actually make a positive impact in my community and beyond. And if they feel that, they're going to be engaged. And if they're engaged, they're going to be accessing and engaging with rigorous tasks, which again, ultimately will hopefully lead to excellence. All right, Jaspreet is going to now talk about the STEM STEAM certification process.
So this is why you're all here, to learn about the process. So to the process, there's 4 parts. There's a preparation, the digital portfolio, there's a validation visit, and then there's the certification part, or being certified. So we're going to go over each of the 4 parts right now. Next slide, Jerry. So the preparation. The first step of the preparation is actually this meeting. And the whole point again about this meeting is for you to understand what the certification process entails and to see if your school is ready to be to participate in the certification process at this time. The intent application is currently open. So there is an application that you need to complete if you are interested in being a part of the Cohort 5 group next school year. The window to the application closes on August 25th. And then once the window closes, your responses are sent to your region. And we've been doing this for the past 5 years. The region will select the 4 schools that will participate in the certification process, as well as notifying the 4 schools that got accepted, and they will notify the schools that did not get accepted. So the region is the one who selects and informs all the schools. Next slide. Okay, so the digital portfolio. Once the schools have been selected, the 16 schools will be taking part in an initial meeting. And in this initial meeting, we're going to talk about the certification in depth. You'll get timelines, due dates, exactly what you need to do. We will also be giving the link to your portfolio. So this year we're going to be using a Google Slides to create the digital portfolio. And the reason why we use Google Slides is that it's easy for us to give you feedback on Google Slides, as well as for you to make any modifications. And both Jerry and I and the region STEAM coordinators have access to your slides. So it'll be an ongoing feedback process to create the digital portfolio. So that's what happens in the initial meeting. It's more of what the process is, timelines, due dates, and getting to know exactly what's required and the access to the portfolio. We will also be having learning sessions. As of right now, these will be virtual. There will be half-day learning sessions where the first half of the day, we will talk about the categories and the elements in the categories in the rubric, and exactly like what type of evidence are good pieces to show, what the justification should look like, and exactly what needs to be in the digital portfolio. Then the second half of the learning session is actually work time. We want to give you guys the opportunity to work in your leadership teams to create the portfolio with Jerry and myself there, along with the region STEAM coordinators. So if you have any questions about what should be in your portfolio, we can answer it. If you want, feedback on the justifications you're writing, we can provide that to you during the second half. Obviously, the next part is the portfolio development. So this will be done at the learning sessions and on your team's own time. And Jerry will talk about exactly what the portfolio needs when it comes to the categories and elements. So he'll go over that. But the due date for the portfolio is June 2024 for Cohort 5 schools. And then once we get your portfolio, we'll score the portfolio. We have a minimum of 2 readers. It's not just Jerry and I who read the portfolios. We also invite the region STEAM coordinators to read the portfolios as well. And then if your portfolio meets the requirements to pass, we move on to the validation visit. Next slide, Jerry. Okay, so I mentioned about that there's a leadership team, and just to give you of who should be in this team, we ask for 1 administrator. And the reason why we ask for an administrator is that, first of all, we want to make sure the principal or the APs knows what's going on with the process, because they should be aware of where you are, how much work needs to be done, if there's any questions. We ask there to be 1 teacher. And that's usually a lead teacher, the one that is going to head the certification. And then one member of the school's choice. We feel like sometimes schools want their SAA to be involved, or sometimes they bring on a parent also to be involved in the certification problem. Mainly it's been a teacher, but we've had a few schools where they would bring a parent or someone else to be a part of their team. And this is a team um, that will that we communicate with and that puts the portfolio together, but they are not the team that does all the work. I mean, we want schools to go around and get evidence and from all the teachers at the school, because certification or STEAM certification is about school certification. So the portfolio should be showing examples of what's going on in the entire school. Next slide. So once your school has met all the requirements of the portfolio, and Jerry will go over what the requirements are, we move on to the validation visit. And what the validation visit is that we want to make sure what's in the portfolio, we can actually see that happening. And what we do is that we talk to students, we talk to staff members. We want to make sure that they're able to articulate the evidence that you've provided in the portfolio. And we look at the work on the wall. We don't want to see work from like 2020 or from 2007. We want to make sure that the work that's up on the walls the kids are doing are current, and then it's actually displaying the mindset, the STEAM mindset piece. So, and then at that same time, the team who does the validation visit, we do the final determination. We'll let you know that, yeah, you passed, we're going to recommend your name to the board, or maybe we need to come back. And I just want to let you know, if we say that we need to come back, we do sit there and talk with whoever's on the leadership team about, here are some suggestions. These are ideas to move forward with. And the team that comes and visits, it's not just Jerry and I. We have the region STEAM coordinators have come with us. We've also had directors, COSAs. At one time we had an AI come. So it's a fairly large team that comes and discusses what we see. Next slide, Jerry. And then once we've made the final determination, we do recommend your name to the board. And then there is a letter that you receive. And then you are certified for 5 years. At year 3, there will be a formal self-reflection that you will do. And this is basically just to let us know if you do need any support or where you are. And it's for you to even, look at your STEAM program to see, are we following, our plan? Are we doing what we say we need to do? Do we need to revamp? So it's an opportunity for you to reflect on your program. The reflection piece, it shouldn't just be at year 3, but this is a formal one. We just want to let you know that you should constantly be reflecting on the program that your school offers, just to make sure that you're heading to where you want to head to. And then there is, in year 5, we start recertification. And we ask schools that when you recertify, you're going to recertify to the new framework, and it will also be another 5-year certification. Next slide, Jerry. Thank you. Just to recap, the validation is for 5 years, so you'll be certified for 5 years. At year 3, there's a self-reflection, and then certification is for 5 years. So in year 5, you'll start beginning your recertification process, where you're going to update your digital portfolio and with the latest framework and rubric. And now Jerry's going to go a little bit deeper into the rubric.
All right. So thank you, Jaspreet. And so we're going to now talk about the actual rubric part of all of this for certification. As you can see here, the rubric is divided into 6 categories. We have vision, STEM STEAM culture, infrastructure, teaching and planning, STEM STEAM mindset, essential skills, and community. And each of those are then divided into elements. They each have elements, okay? And then we'll talk about that in just a second. And all of this can be found in the link that we provided you. That takes you to the certification framework rubric document. All right, so on here, on the actual rubric, you'll see that we have advancing, sustaining, and we have emerging. So let's talk about those different levels. So again, this is, first of all, just to clarify, we are scoring not your school, we're scoring your portfolio, right? So a school might be doing, much higher in certain areas, but maybe the portfolio doesn't quite show it. And so we are scoring, we're giving you a score based on the artifacts and the justifications that go with it. And so again, just we want your school to shine in that portfolio. All right, so emerging, just means that you're getting started in your journey, in that one element. And you're again, there's a lot of elements, and so you're not necessarily, at the advancing stage of each one. Some areas you are advancing, and some areas you're emerging, and then most of the areas you should be sustaining. And so sustaining again, you've been doing STEAM certification, STEAM for quite a bit. You know what you're doing, and there's, and in those elements, have your stride. And then finally, advancing. Just that means that in these areas, in these elements, you're leading the way. You're coming up with new approaches. You're coming up with different ways of um, supporting your students, right? In STEAM. Next, the question is always, how do we pass, right? How do we pass the portfolio? And so the portfolio, you can see here, it shows you right here, the vision has 4 elements, culture has 4. You'll see some of these are a little bit more heftier. You've got teaching and planning and STEAM, STEM mindset, essential skills. You've got 6 and 10, right? So for each of these categories, you must receive a score of advancing in at least 3 elements in any of those categories. So it's not 3 per category, but it's 3 altogether. Okay. So if you add up all the elements, 3 of those need to be in the advancing category. Next, you can't have more than 1 emerging in any one element. STEAM certification is not meant for schools that are just beginning their journey in STEAM. It's meant for schools who have already developed their program, have been doing it for a while, and now want to be recognized for what they're doing, right? And so we allow 1 emerging for each of the different categories. All right, so let's jump into the rubric. The first category is vision. How is the school community's vision for STEM STEAM environment shared and communicated? You can see the elements listed right here. I won't go over each one of them, but the idea is, can the vision be seen in the school plan? Can the vision be seen throughout the school? Is the vision being used to make decisions? Who understands the vision? Who knows the vision? Is it just the teachers or the administration, or do the students even truly understand where the vision is coming from? This is not a separate vision. This is this is your school's vision. It should have one vision, but within that, there should be a STEM component into it, right? And again, for understanding, I'll be honest with you, a lot of times we'll go to a school and we'll ask students, what is STEAM? And I'll be pleasantly surprised if they can even, give me the subject connected to the letters, which really is a very low level understanding. But again, we want students to know really what STEAM is and why the school is a STEM school, right? And then connection, again, everything that's happening at the school, is it connected to the vision, or are they different, right? And again, so we want to see that the vision is a significant component of how the school runs, and that it's visible and evident throughout. Next, we have STEM STEAM culture. How is everyone in the school community contributing to the culture of growth mindset, collaboration, creativity, communication, and critical thinking? So we've got growth mindset, and we've got the 4 C's, right? Student-centered. We need this to be about students. We want to see passionate students as well as passionate teachers. Authentic real world connection, as we talked about before in the strategic plan. You know, we want to align what's happening, what our students are going to experience in the real world to what they're doing in the classroom. And that's the best way to prepare them for the real world. And so, you know, we want to see an authentic real world connection. Equity and access, you know, again, that's a core belief. And so what we found is, again, when there isn't just that single one right answer, that and that these are much more open-ended tasks that the students are working on, that more students are able to access it. And again, we want this to be all students getting this, right? Not just certain populations or subgroups. And growth mindset needs to be a significant part of the school's culture, because again, you'll see when either engineering or designing solutions, it's about failure, and it's about turning failure from something that's negative that brings you down to something that's a useful tool to get to where you want to go, right? And where our students want to go. Next, infrastructure. So is the school supporting all the vision of the STEM team vision of the school? Is the administration on board? Are they providing teachers with the resources and the time for planning? Is there a sustainability program for STEM STEAM program? Because this is really important. We've seen too often where a school is doing some amazing things in STEM or STEAM, and then suddenly some like a key teacher or a principal or just somebody leaves the school, and then pretty soon everything falls apart. So is there an onboarding program for people who are new to your school to to let them know about what's going on with STEAM? And then are you able to again handle those personnel changes, right? And do you have a plan for that? Resources, again, STEM STEAM, we don't think it's not something that requires technology and like expensive technology and so forth. Summer school is doing engineering is elementary component to their using that program, and technology, it can be as simple as a spoon, right? And so we want students to utilize everything that they have available to them. But again, are the resources that the school has available, are they being used to support the STEM STEAM vision? And of course, professional learning and support. Again, do teachers have opportunities to work together and plan? All right, teaching and planning. So teaching and planning, this is about the teacher moves, transdisciplinary approach. And this is something that I learned, like I first learned about really in the STEAM micro-credential program from the district. And the transdisciplinary is a little different than disciplinary or interdisciplinary, because again, it's interdisciplinary or disciplinary, it's focusing still on the discipline, right? Transdisciplinary is a little different because you're actually focusing on the task, on the problem, and disciplines and all the knowledge and everything, all of that become tools to accomplish your goal. And so everything makes sense, and there's a context to the disciplines that students are learning. The tasks, and again, we want our students to be working on cognitively complex learning experiences. We want all students, again, to have access to learning, okay? And so these are, key components, and we're going to go over some more here. STEM STEAM tool. So again, technology and so forth, even robotics, 3D printers, whatever it might be, whatever the school has access to. Are they the focus, or are they being used as tools to accomplish a greater task? And then we have extended STEM STEAM professional learning. So teachers have opportunities, and they're actually taking opportunities to develop their understanding, whether that's through the district's micro-credentialing program, which is wonderful, or any other programs, and that they're constantly learning. Equitable grading practices, so EGI, also a big component of this. And we found that when you're working on projects like this, many of the principles that are in EGI are supported quite well with STEAM. Now this is about the student. STEM STEAM mindset, essential skills, again, the 21st century skills, and how are they being demonstrated by students, okay? So theme, a student voice, agency, and self-efficacy. This is a critical component of all of this. We want this to come from students. We want to see passionate students, not just passionate teachers, right? And so we want students to say, you know, this is important to me. And we love it when we go to a school and we do a validation visit. And we have students that really literally won't let us leave because they want to explain how they're going to solve this real world problem. Critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, communication, these all become critical components of a STEM STEAM learning environment. Information literacy, media literacy, technology literacy, all of these fit in because they're all components and they're all become tools for students to accomplish a greater task. It gives the students a purpose and a context to the learning. You know, flexibility, initiative. We want our students to focus on not just learning, you know, building their knowledge, but we want them to develop their skills, their mindset, right? Because these are things that they will stick with them beyond K-12 education. And finally, we have community. Okay, so how is the school forging, sustaining, and improving mutually beneficial partnerships in the community? We talked about this a little bit as well, where again, you know, this is a core belief, district core belief, where let's bring in partners. Let's work together. And again, not just one-way relationships, but we're, again, both the partner and our students, we're all benefiting together, right? It's family education. And families also need to know about the STEAM vision. They need to know why the school is a STEM school, and what that actually means, right? And so there are education events for family. There's actual community-based projects, so students can actually be working, you know, with the community to solve a problem that's right next to them, something that they encounter every day. All right. Now, so that was the rubric, and that was the categories and the elements, a big component of it, of everything. If you have any questions, of course, you know, always feel free to contact us. We're more than happy to clarify anything that needs clarifying. To support that, we also have a glossary on page 26 and 27 of the framework and rubric document. And then that kind of, again, just gives you a little bit of a definition of some of these terms that we're using, because we also want everybody to have a common vocabulary, especially at the school site. You need to know that when you're talking about something, that you're talking about the same thing. And finally, so when to apply for STEM STEAM certification. As I mentioned earlier, STEM STEAM certification is not meant for schools that are just beginning their journey. If you're, you know, motivated and you want to learn more about STEAM or STEM, contact us, contact your region offices for support. Absolutely, we're there for you. But we don't necessarily recommend going through certification until you are at the sustaining level, right? So if you are a school that's sustaining, you've been doing this for a while, you have a, you know, set program, and you just kind of want an opportunity to really refine your practices and align it to what the district is doing and to what other schools are doing, absolutely, please apply. Okay, we are in cohort 5 of STEM STEAM certification. You have the link right there, the bit.ly, as well as the QR code. It's also on the flyer that you will all use to sign up for and register for this meeting. And if you are selected to go through STEM STEAM certification next year for cohort 5, you will be given a separate Schoology course where you're going to be doing all of the work. So the digital portfolio that Jaspreet mentioned is going to be assigned to you through Schoology. However, whether you're an emerging school or just even have some, you know, interest, or if you're an advancing school and you've been doing this and you're leading the pack, please join our LAUSD Schoology group, the LAUSD STEAM P12 Schoology group. And if you go onto this Schoology group, the access code is right there for you. You're going to see a lot of resources that have been developing over the past years of that STEAM has been a part of LAUSD. You're going to see PD, professional development resources. When we try to archive everything that we do in STEAM, professional developments get recorded, all the resources, the presentations are all given to you right there. We have STEAM resources that we're kind of building up on, and these are actually going to be divided up. They're actually divided up into the different categories in the rubric. We have STEAM lessons and units. I highly recommend that you take a look at that. You can kind of see what our STEAM collaborative, which is an amazing team of teachers, our STEAM leadership team that meets together on Saturdays. That's, that they actually develop resources, lessons, units, all kinds of things for our STEM schools. And if you click on that, you'll see all of those resources available to you. And these are quite a few units in there that really give you an idea of what what it looks like. And then it touches upon transdisciplinary learning, problem-based learning, and even the UN goals, which you can see is also on there. Okay. And what we found is that the UN goals provide an amazing foundation for the real world problem-based learning that our students are doing, right? It connects them to the globe, to the world. If you take a look at these, 17 goals, and again, the vast majority of the problems that our students will see in their community, that they'll experience themselves, and that they'll see on the news for the world are covered by those 17 goals. So if you want more information, it's right there. And there's a few other items on here that you're not going to see, but again, once you join this group, all of it's there. And then in the update section, we update, all the teachers and all the staff, everybody who's on this group with resources, with flyers, with information about LAUSD STEAM. Again, thank you so much for showing interest in for coming here today. If you have any questions, please email us or let us know how we can support.